Hi everybody, my name is Shannon and welcome to my channel, Another Yarn. Thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. So today is Tuesday. So Tuesday I have started dubbing as Time Warp Tuesday. And what I've been doing is going through some of my older books and magazines. I've been collecting crafts for quite a few years. Okay, decades. It's decades. And I have some really amazing books, both patterns, books, and magazines. So today we're going back to 2009. What were you doing in 2009? I don't remember, but I do know that I purchased this particular knitting design workshop book. And if you are lucky enough to get a copy of this, I'd 100% grab it. This is, again, 2009. This is Knitwear Design Workshop, a comprehensive guide to hand knits by Shirley Padden. You can get chapter 1 of this book on Amazon for like $6.50 or something like that. And Kindle version, if you've got that unlimited Kindle thing, it says you can read it for free. So there are some, like the first chapter. It doesn't have the whole book. There are other ones. If you look for this particular writer, Shirley Padden, go ahead. I'll put it in my description box also, so you can look that up. This is an interweave book. Okay, on the back it says it was $40. I don't remember what I paid for it, but I do know that my local thrift store actually has a copy of this, and I didn't pick it up because I already have one. I might have to go back and get it because I'm looking on Amazon, and some of them go up to $100. Who knew? I didn't know that, right? I'm sure the thrift store doesn't either. But there are other books along this line, and what this is, it's spiral bound, right? You see the spiral. It is a complete workshop on how to design your own knitwear. Don't despair if you just crochet. Are you kidding? You're making beautiful fabric with a hook and yarn. There's nothing just about just crochet. But if you are only crochet and you don't knit at all, that's okay. I would think that you can still look through here and all the concepts are the same. They're talking about drape. They're talking about fit. They're talking about your stitch pattern within your blank canvas. Are you doing a form-fitted design? Are you doing a box design? And they're giving all sorts of tips, tricks, etc. along that line. And that's what I mean by, even if you're crochet, you've never picked up a pair of knitting needles, you don't know anything about knitting, that's okay. If you were to get a hold of one of these books, all the concepts are the same. It would still be a fantastic resource for you. One of the things, there's so many wonderful things. Yes, this book has some great patterns in it that go through the techniques that they're teaching you. But one of the other things, I'm going to flip to it, as I have done my own pattern designs in the past, and these types of things, I think, are so helpful. And now I'm having problems finding the page that I had bookmarked, but you know how that goes. Here we go. Right here, standard measurements. You have charts in pages of standard measurements for baby, for child, for a woman, man. I get that we're not all in that standard measurement size. But if you're an actual designer and you're trying to do different gauges, you would put that in there and you would go ahead and use your stitch count and use that as a starting point. And that helps me immensely when I'm trying to make something for my grandchildren. You know, I'll get kind of a little bit of an idea and then I can kind of fall within a certain pattern. Don't we all do that if we're making something for ourselves? Like, wait a minute, my busts are maybe an extra large, but my waist is in a large category, right? Or something along that line, or reverse, it doesn't matter. You know, so we'll do our own adjustments. This is such a wonderful resource. So even if you can't get a hold of this particular 2009, yeah, they've got updated versions. I just looked and mine was actually printed in 2009. If you can't get a hold of this, there's other resources to get your juices flowing. I'm going to go ahead and flip through some of the stuff that I like. So you've got things like here, you've got that nice curved jacket, and they're showing a blank canvas with the curve on the graph right there. And that's what you're filling in with your stitches. That's the guide that you're doing with your increases or decreases, depending if you're working from top down or bottom up, right? There's a lot of things in here that do that. This particular one has a lot of math. I personally love it. Now, you have to do gauge swatches. I don't necessarily like to do gauge swatches, but if you're really trying to design something extremely gorgeous and one of a kind and fit perfect and all that other stuff, it would behoove you to do a gauge swatch. I joke about gauge swatches a lot. It's true. It does make a difference. It really does, depending on what you want as your end project and your goal. This particular one, like I said, it is quite a book. It is meant to be your dictionary for everything. It really goes in, and I've got more than one book. It goes into everything as far as that's concerned. And it also has the instructions. I mean, that right there is a gorgeous, tailored to fit that individual piece. And that's what this particular book does, is it goes through in great detail to where you can have that success. Because if you are a knitter, knitting it's easy. It really is. It's very binary. It's up, down, ones, zeros. It's binary. It's either knit or it's purl. That's it. That is all there is to it. And everything else is done from just that knit and that purl. So relax. Give yourself some grace. If you're not a knitter and you want to try it, it's okay. It's going to be a little slow. That's fine. You've got this. And if you're crocheting and you're looking at resources like this, it's the same concept. It really is. You're not going to be able to necessarily do this exact pattern. That's okay. You know, knitting doesn't look like crochet in a lot of instances. Crochet doesn't look like knitting in a lot of instances. That's fine. But this book does have patterns in here like that, very intricate. That to me reminds me of Japanese lace, very intricate design. It does have that front cover coat in there too, and goes into all of that great detail. Very impressed with this book. I'm going to set this one down because that one's probably a little bit harder to get a hold of. You still can, though. Definitely look through your thrift stores and everything. I think I might have to go back to the thrift store and maybe pick up that book, because now that I know that it is so out of print, I didn't realize, right? Because, I mean, I have it on my shelf. I didn't realize. I might have to get that and gift it to one of my other friends that likes to knit and try to design things. Another one that I got, and I did get this one at the thrift store. It's Design It, Knit It by Debbie Bliss. If you're not familiar with Debbie Bliss as a knitter, you should be. She's amazing. I'm not sure if she does crochet or not. I don't remember. I have a lot of books and I have a lot by her, but I don't remember if they're all knit. So this one right here, also 2009. You can get it on Amazon. It looked like to get a spiral bound, it was under $10. And to get it on the Kindle Unlimited, it was another one that you can read for free. So see if it's something that you're interested in. This one I thought was really interesting too. It is a smaller book. It is still spiral bound. So this is nice as your resource to lay flat and be able to flip through all of your pages and figure out what's going on. So she goes through a lot of her designing process, more so. To me, I think this is an easier to read book, but I think the other one is more of your dictionary resource. You can also tell by size and everything. This one has a lot of patterns, a lot of different patterns. It has children patterns to adult patterns, and she goes through how she designs. Here she's talking about your color work, doing a color work swatch, lining up your colors together, deciding what is going to do your stripe sequence, etc. And she does discuss how color work, because you got your some Fair Isle right here, how color work plays an important role in the designing process. The patterns that she has on the front, like this one and this one right here and everything, those are in this book. So what she'll do is she'll go through a technique describing how she uses that technique in her next pattern. And then here's the pattern and puts it into practice. You're not getting as much of the math details in the Debbie Bliss book as you do in this other book right here by Shirley Payton. Shirley talks you through step by step gives you math examples when you have your stitch count and you've done your swatch. Debbie Bliss talks about it, but doesn't have as many math sheets as far as that's concerned. What she does have is she goes through your different templates with different sweater designs, different things, and why she's put different stitches in her particular patterns. And then at the end, she has something like this, these templates that you can go ahead and you can Xerox it as much as you want to, and then you draw in. So you're drawing in what you're planning to knit or crochet if you decide to use a book and resource like this to crochet your sweater, and the stitches that you're going to put in. As you can see here, that was drawn in with the cables, how that's going to look, and then work through your stitch patterns. So she has multiple templates, which I think are kind of fun. She has the swing coat here, and again, the template. So you can play, get your colored pencils out, get your crayons out, whatever it takes, and color it and determine how you want your piece to look, what you're going through for. Are you going to do colors? Are you going to do textures? Maybe a combination of both. How does that work? She has that with a fitted jacket also. So there's nice things as far as templates on that. So that's kind of a good one. She's got here designing with 2 colors, and we already saw that with putting together her different color patterns and palettes. It's just a lot of fun, right? A lot of fun. So what I was getting at when she was talking about like designing with colors, she'll have a page, you know, her story right here on how she's designing with colors, the things that she picks up, how she'll add that to different things. And I like that as a resource because it'll go ahead and spur me personally as the reader. It gets my creative juices flowing, going, oh, that's how you do that. That's cool. I get that. That relates to this in my world. And then it puts it as to more of a personable and attainable. Because let's face it, when you're talking about designing a sweater or a garment, it can be overwhelming. Where do you start? You know, and she'll go through that. Take a garment, you know, we've all heard that. Take a garment that you personally like, that fits you well, and measure that. You know that works. And if you've done a really well gauge swatch, I know, bad, dirty word, but if you've done a really well gauge swatch, especially if you're using the stitch that you're planning on using, then you can extrapolate it out. You can do those elaborate laces. You can do those cables in crochet or knit. You can do those types of things and change your pattern out however you want to change it out. And you'll come up with something that is unique to you, very creative, one of a kind, tailor fit, in a manner that you never thought that you could do before. Because when you read something like this, in some cases, it gives you permission to go out on that limb. You might have been a little bit uncomfortable doing that on your own previously, but reading in a book, you're like, oh, I can do that. That's easy. I got this. 100%. And then you can also practice with smaller, right? If you have a baby or a child in your life, make it small size. And then if it looks great and you like it, you know, you've done all of your tweaks and all of your patterns and all of your testings, and it'll be a lot quicker doing it in small size, potentially. And then make it fit you, right? If it were my first one and I wanted to do that, then maybe I would make it for one of the grandkids or something like that. And then for me, I'm a lot bigger, right? I mean, it's okay. So she's got blurbs on these. So those 3 patterns are in this book. So she has a write-up on how she used for this one, for the color technique, how she used it and how she came up with that. And that again gives you different ideas on how to do things. I like also with this one, there's the baubles and the textures. And if you've been around, you know I love my baubles and textures. So there's 15, yeah, it says that 15 patterns in this book to knit, and they're nice patterns. There's a lot of detail and a lot of texture and structure, and it's not all stockinette. It's not all plain knitting like a blank canvas. She's like, okay, here's your blank canvas at the end. Here's all the things I've thrown at it, and this is how I did it, and this is the result, and you can do that also. And I really like that. Sometimes it's nice to have that permission to go ahead. We don't need permission, but sometimes we think we do. to go ahead and do something fun. So you've got that cables, you've got that written out. She's putting everything in there. I mean, that's bobbles and cables and oh my, that's a lot of stuff. And if you can do that and you can wrap your head around that concept, you can do any of it. I like with this one, with the kids things, she has very nice designs, very detail oriented designs. And that right there, you can see the difference with the collar treatment and what a difference that makes on that simple child's coat. How adorable is that? Just putting that little rounded collar right there on the pink, it just looks so cute, so adorable. What little girl wouldn't be just everything in that? So fun stuff. Here you've got a swing coat. And I believe she's got the swing coat in the adult too. And that one's a fun one when you add cables and you add shaping to it. And she goes into a lot more details as far as that's concerned. But you do have the 15 patterns. You do have the designs. So on here, you're showing their decreases that she's doing on that. And that's stuff that you can do the shaping for the arm. Do the raglan, putting that cable right there along that line with the decrease or the increase line, and discussing those things. If you've ever thought about designing, if you've ever wanted to do something like that, as you know, I'm always telling you to check your local library. You don't know. They might have it. Your library might have it. Check your local library. Check online. Thrift shops, you never know. Checking your thrift shops, looking at Amazon. Like I said, this one right here, I don't have Kindle Unlimited, but if you do, it's showing as you can read it for free. Check it out. Look at it. See if it's something that you're interested in. Throw yourself on the deep end, so to speak. You can design. You can create things on your own. You can follow somebody else's pattern too. That's fine. But you can go off script and make your own pattern. And this gives you blank templates. This gives you that canvas, that blank canvas, like Bob Ross. You've got your white canvas right there, and you've got all your yarn, and you've got all your needles and your hooks, and you know what? You can combine. If you can do both knitting and crocheting, who says you have to just knit a garment or crochet a garment? No, you can put both. Put some granny squares in there, put some nice stitching in there, and then do some knitting, right? Do both. I've done that with hats. I'll knit the ribbing of the hat right here, the brim, and then crochet the rest of the hat. Use the best of both worlds, right? Use the knitting for the ribbing for your cuff and around your neckline and around the waist, and everything else do crochet. It doesn't matter. It's yours. And by golly, if you can weave, put some of that in there. I mean, if you put all three in there, I've not done that, but if you do all three, holy cow, that's it. You know what would be really cool? If you can do the weaving. Do the weaving at the waistline, right? I know you can't see my waist, but you can tell my arms are moving, right? But do that right there at the waist, like a belt, doing that. And then working up, you could do working the up portion, the top above the woven section, knit, and then below the woven section, do your crochet. Oh my gosh, that would be stunning. If you do that, please tag me. I don't know how to tag me, but do it, right? Email me. Hey, I've got my email in the description box. Email me. If you do that, I want to see that. That would be spectacular. I mean, you can make it form-fitting, but I think doing the crocheting, like a peplum skirt or something like that, and flare out for the crochet at the bottom, the knit in the very center, or the woven in the center, and then the top being knit, or any combination. Oh my gosh, that would be spectacular. See, this is how designing works. You throw things out there, and that's what it is. You can grab a book to help you, hold your hand a little bit. I personally like the schematics. I personally like having those numbers in there on what's the typical-ish size. I know we're all unique individuals. I get that. But we fall into a semi-range. I'm an XL in this portion of my body. I'm a small in this portion of my body. I'm a large in that portion. Good. We can play mix and match. We got that. So those things help out to get started. Reading how other people do it helps out to get started. Having that blank canvas, that's wonderful. And a lot of them have the stitch guides too. If you don't have a stitch dictionary, crochet and knit, and I've seen them also with the Tunisian crochet, I have not gotten into Tunisian crochet really big. I've done it before when I was a teenager. I did Tunisian crochet some, Afghan stitch, but I haven't really, and I've done a couple things since, but not a lot. And yeah, that's another thing. There's stitch dictionaries for that. There's stitch dictionaries for mosaic. There's a lot of stitch dictionaries that you can use to assist you in your garment creation. If this has inspired you, or you have some of these books and you've done things, tell me about it. I want to know. I want to know what you've done and created. I see what the designers do, and I think they're amazing, but we don't always see what each other does. And there's a lot of people that don't follow patterns at all. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So you're always creating something on your own. What are you coming up with? What are you most proud of? I personally want to know. You know, some of us have to be told line for line, and some of us are like, hey, get me started. I got this from here. You know, where do you fall in the mix on that? You know, we've got all the spectrums from all the way across. But anyway, I'm all excited with my 2 books and having a lot of fun and really getting into that design mode. I have to kind of finish up some of my other projects. Holy cow, I've got a lot of stuff going on. Finish some of my other projects and work on designing and making things and creating some different things. My issue is, excuse me, sorry, I've made things for my grandkids. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And I get asked, hey, how'd you do that? Yeah, I don't know. I just did it because I've made them dresses, and I've knit them dresses and top down, and I'll have kind of an idea in my head sometimes, and I'll make the bodice. A lot of times I'll do like a form of a ribbing type, you know, so it'll pull in, it kind of grows with them, and then I'll get to that waist, that bodice, and then I expand out. That's a good way to put it. It's kind of like a shawl. I mean, by the time it's done, it's about like a shawl and everything, because they're little girls and they like to spin and twirl, and you know, it's got to have a lot of fabric so it can spin and it can twirl. And I've done a lot of leaf motifs in it, and I do like what I would look at as geometric increases, like, oh look, every 3 I'm going to increase, you know, now what am I going to do, you know, and I'll do something like that. Or every 4, you know, I'll do an even number, an odd number, or you know, yeah, there's no rhyme or reason. There isn't. Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. But they turn out amazing. I can't recreate it. Not the exact. I can make another creation, but I don't take notes with it. I'm just going with it and adding lace. Lace is holes, by the way. Lace is intentional holes. If you're not familiar with that with knitting, you've got knit, you've got purl, you've got yarn overs, which are intentional holes. That's it. So, I'll do intentional holes. I'll throw some in there. Paired increases, paired decreases, you know, the whole 9 yards, and just have a blast with it. But it's good to enjoy that creative process. It's good to experiment and let yourself learn, whether it's colors, whether it's textures. What is it that fuels you in this crafting thing? That we obviously love yarn, right? We're all part of this. We collect patterns. Yeah, I collect a lot of patterns, right? I've got my 2009 books, right? We collect patterns. We collect supplies, yarn. We collect needles and hooks. I am so thankful. I am a pencil holder for crocheting, just like this. I grew up with the Susan Bates hooks. This is my favorite hook. I am very thankful for this, because by golly, these are a lot less expensive than those Furls hooks that are beautiful. And I was just at a craft show this last weekend, and there was a gentleman there, and he did, they were interchangeable crochet hooks, right? And he did the handle portion with the resin, and they were gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And my husband's looking at them, and he is such an enabler. He's a wonderful man. And he's looking at me like, hey, what do you think? You want some? Right? And I said, well, I hold my hook like this. So you have the decorative portion right here that's like a hand grip for if you're holding like this, or I don't know, like knife hold, you know, all these different ways of holding. And that's perfect because it's more ergonomic and it's more comfortable. But I hold mine like this, and that was weight. I don't want weight on the end of my hook right here, and that's what that was. I did want them because they were gorgeous, They really pretty. Oh my gosh, they were so stunning. But that wasn't going to help me. And that's what I look at when everyone does their unboxing videos with the furls hook, and they have the resin and they're sparkly. I like my sparkles. And they've got these gorgeous colors, and they just look like the Aurora Borealis is in the middle of each one of these hooks. They are so beautiful. But on the other hand, I am so thankful. These right here, inexpensive. I spend my money on my knitting needles and my yarn and my patterns, so I don't have to spend it on my crochet hook. So, you know, it's like I dodged the bullet on that one. But yeah, that's how I hold mine. And anything else is just going to add weight right here as I go like this, and that doesn't work for me. But you guys enjoy your pretty hooks. I will enjoy my pretty other things, right? You know, you guys have the crochet jewelry. I've got knitted jewelry. So there you go, right? We all have it. And I have my very plain, simple Susan Bates hooks, tried and true. Been my favorite since I was 10 years old. So, you know, I mean, it's just, I'm comfortable with them. It just works. It just does. Well, I'm going to get off here now. I have been talking for a while about this, and I will continue talking for hours if left unabated. It's just how that works. It's yarn and knitting and crocheting and crafting and creating and designing. I mean, what's not to love? This is a passion. This is just, it's been my passion for, yeah, I started crocheting when I was 10. Yeah, yeah, that's a long time ago. So it's just been my passion for literally decades. All right, everybody, I'm going to let you go. You guys have a great day, night, evening, whatever it happens to be. Bye-bye.